When I joined the data warehouse team, two things were said to me. First, Agile was not really working in this group. And also, automating the deployment of software component in this team was really not possible. So we did both, and this is our story. Before going further, who else in the audience is working in a data warehouse environment or data-related work? All right. So my name is Maxime Clerk-Lamalice. I'm a software engineer by training, based in Montreal, Canada. Yes, we do speak French in Canada. Most of my time is focused on software engineering practice and building high-performance team, while obviously having fun. Quick intro about my journey. So I started in the startup world. I was there for 10 years. We built software and hardware for the healthcare and industry. Then went to e-commerce, then banking since 2016. I'm at National Bank right now. In 2018, so last year, I did attend the London edition, and since then, it has been a personal goal for me to present at this conference, so I'm very excited. So National Bank of Canada, based in Montreal, is one of the 6 important banks in Canada. It's the leading one for Quebec. It's also very active for the small and business industry. Founded in 1859, it grew organically and through acquisition. So obviously this has an impact on the IT infrastructure, but also the data richness that is available. The bank's mission is to have a positive impact on people's lives. It's doing it by building long relationship with the clients throughout 4 lines of business. Couple of numbers to give you a sense of scope. So more than 24,000 employees. From this number, around 2,000 in IT. And obviously, 2.6 million employees. Keep in mind that National Bank is part of the Canadian banking system, which is highly regulated and it's very stable. A disclaimer, before going further. So this story is not about big data, data lake, visualization, or even the cloud. So it's about corporate data. So we're a team of around 65 employees, which are maintaining multiple ODS, so operational data store, and EDW, so enterprise data warehouse. We're doing it by having a pretty classical technological stack, which is data stage, Oracle, and Control-M. Keep in mind that the data producer and data consumer are never sleeping. So we're always open, 24 hours. A bit more about the context. We are one of the many teams at the bank which are using Agile and DevOps to deliver quicker, faster solutions. What is specific about us is that we are managing data, which means that we're very popular. We're involved in very small to very large program. And the only thing in common that they all have is they're very anxious and impatient to have access to our data. Also, since we grew organically, our IT ecosystem is a mix of legacy and new system, obviously. So going back to 2016, a typical ETL deployment was using lots of interaction between different profiles. Over 3 teams were involved. We were releasing every 3 months or so. And the, 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 was manual. So where did we start our transformation? Where did we put most of our focus? Obviously, the classical 3 axes: people, process, technology. We started everywhere, but in iteration and always involving the team. So let's go through some highlights about the people. Having an agile mindset was key. So the bank did invest in training, not only for the IT people, but the business people, which led to having a mindset that this is my job versus I'm gonna help the team. So a big change in the mindset of the people, which led to being able to have you build it, you run it mindset at the squad level. Secondly, we remove the QA people that came from a centralized group at the bank and move the quality to the team level using different tactics. Peer review, test coverage, and differing built-in the pipeline. And lastly, we did merge the dev and the ops team, which was a big move for us. We have done this more than 6 months ago, and those are autonomous squad right now. So basically, from the request to the production environment. That was a major change for us. About the process, so to support the new squad, the new autonomous squad, we changed the process. We used a unified backlog. So coming from 3 different backlogs, dev, ops, and even management backlog, to a unified one. So we were able to have a unique view of what was in the pipeline and what was coming next. And obviously the refinement with different POs at either the program level or the project level. Secondly, we are a data team, so obviously we had lots of data. Data about the commit, data about the time to release, and it grew from only acquiring the data to having a conversation with the team about the performance, about the reflexes, about the different best practice. So that was a nice shift for us. And lastly, new requests. So basically everything that came into the group, we were able to focus it through a service desk and have different workflows to dispatch it to the right squad. Technology, obviously, DevOps is often associated with tech tools. So obviously we build pipeline. We build pipeline to deploy ETL. We build pipeline to deploy our scheduler schedule. And most of the new tools that we did it in our team. So people grew accustomed to maintain it. Earlier, I talked about our classical stack. Right now, there's a need for speed to have access to the data. So new integration patterns are coming in with the new project, with the new program. So we're building the team, we're adding new profile to the squad to have APIs, to have streaming capabilities. So this is a great shift for us also. Lastly, all our lower environments were switched from physical to virtual environments, which obviously with we saved lots of disk space, lots of speed to refresh the data, but most importantly, we were able to have self-serve capabilities at the squad level. So the developers could request and manage their own data pods, which were a big time saver for all the programs that were currently in the team. So what did change? Basically, the interaction of a deployment right now is at the squad level. So there's no other teams involved. There's no multiple coordinator implied. There's no problem to have the right information of what is currently being deployed. This fixed capability has also allowed us to have new interns coming in through mentorship, but also bring the architect closer to the implementation. And obviously, the pipeline that we talked earlier, they're being used at the squad level. So a big shift for us. So key results. So this new approach for us is making it scalable so we can scale up multiple squads, scale down based on the work required. We went from monthly to weekly deployments, more stable in production, so 55% less incident. The performance, so the global time it takes to ingest and to manage all the data went up, so very more quicker. The same team, but obviously more fun, which was very important for us. So the timeline, there was no magic. So we went from a classical banking model with a dev team and ops team and more a data science BI background for the developers. We went to the agile, the DevOps transformation. Right now we did the shift to the autonomous. And the future for us is very exciting because the speed at which the team want to change is getting faster and faster. So that's very, very interesting for us. That means we can add new concept and virtualize more environment since we're using multiple track per squad. Another tool that we used was using the team meeting as a snapshot in the time to see what did change since the last meeting, what can we improve and have feedback. Obviously, there were some challenges, so we're sharing 3 today with you. There was lots of fixing forward. Obviously, prod was stable, but the knowledge of how it was fixed was not shared. So we make it public. So we had what we call a wall of fail. So everyone in the group was able to see what went wrong, but most importantly, what was the solution. So being shared with the whole group. Secondly, we did custom software and we did pipeline. Obviously, we had to train our employees. But what we did not expect is we had to train neighboring groups also. So that required more time than expected. So obviously, this was a surprise, but the end goal was that the general knowledge of software engineering practice went up across the group and also neighboring groups. That was positive. And lastly, we grew dependency on those DevOps experts. So they were doing the coding, they were doing the pipeline. We switched this mentality. We make sure that our employees understood that those DevOps experts were doing development. So right now, those experts are more coach for our employees, making sure that the newly hires, but also the senior one, are having the right information. So data ops. Data ops is still a concept for us. We're not yet done with the DevOps transformation, obviously, but it's now built in our mission. So we want to have open discussion about the complexity of managing data, the complexity of making data available throughout different groups, and making sure that people focus on the data, not only the code. Obviously, we are doing experimentation with new tools, the new, for example, data as code, data catalog. We are using multiple vendors, and it's still a work in progress. So next year, obviously, I'll give you an update for sure. Couple of must-do. Be bold. So share your win. Make sure that everyone knows about it. It's super important to inspire. we did develop a startup mindset at the department level. Obviously, there's a tax in running this startup in the big corporation, so plan for it. Complexity, processes, it comes with it. Get closer to your end users, and especially define data owner, so who owns the data. This will simplify discussion with POs, with PM, and the actual team, what to do with the data. Work on hard and complex issues and problems. Automating regression testing in a complex data warehouse environment is very hard. You should be working on it right now, not only tackle quick wins. And lastly, set the department mission, but stay aligned with the enterprise guidelines. So let's talk more. What I want to hear about you guys is how did you tackle the automated testing in a complex data warehouse environment? And secondly, the conjunction of data governance and release management. How are you doing it? So that's two topics that I would like to hear more about you guys. Thank you. If you have any question or, sure.
When you combine the teams, let's say a BA engineer, how they are trained? Like, are they able to use their niche skills? Are they learning from others? Because I usually get a complaint when you merge the teams.
Yeah.
I have the niche skills. I want to only work on this. I don't want to learn that. So how do you overcome when you bring the teams together?
We have the notion of major, like the major and minor. So your major skills are this. But obviously, we expect you to learn something else to help the team. So some people are not open to it. You cannot force them, but we can encourage it. So that's what we're doing right now, and making it available through like training and pairing also. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you described data pods earlier. I mean, what is that? That sounds like the type of data the developer would use for development.
Yeah, so we're using Delphix, and they have the notion of data pods, basically make branching model applied to data. So you have a source, and you create pods of data that the developers or any employees in your team can use and play with time. So you can run, for example, an ATL, it will do transformation, then you can go back in time. So that's one of the notion that we're using right now.
Is that production data they would use, or is it mass?
It's a mix. It's based on the use case. It could be.
So the software is Delphix?
Yes. Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit more about your data virtualization, what you're using that for?
Well, basically, it's we were using all physical environments, Oracle physical environments, and then we switched to this provider, Delphix, which is allowing us to replicate quickly an environment, a database, and to clone a database. So based on the need of the project, the life cycle of this database will match the project. So yeah, exactly. So once the project is done, we remove the environment, and then we could create a new one based on the specs of the project. So developers are only accessing what they need to have for the project.
And do you use external tools to create those virtual copies, if you will, of the databases?
The Delphix environment is managing lots of the logic, but we also have pipeline to create, to facilitate the creation of those different environments. Yeah. So we stick it together with.
So like Redgate or what's the other one?
Not the R case, but we could use this kind of, yeah, sure.
So we're currently using very similar environment,
Yeah.
data stage and Delphix for virtualization.
Yeah.
I'm curious how you're plugging in Delphix into your pipeline. That's one thing that we're trying to figure out.
Well, first it's for non-prod environments. So how we are using it, when we start a project, we create an environment specific to it. We configure data stage and all the scheduler, also the ecosystem, to have a self-maintained environment so people can use it. And then it's a self-serve, well, we use a self-serve facility so developers can do the modification or roll back in the time. I don't know if I'm answering the question. How are you using it?
Well, right now we're using it to refresh our physical servers.
Okay.
And test.
Okay.
But we're trying to figure out how do we give the developers that capability, right, without them going crazy and standing up.
Yeah, at first it needs some coaching, and DBAs are still involved to make sure that part of it is standardized, but we're starting to give access more and more. Yeah.
Do you give access to end users in your data warehouse environment, or?
Yes. Well, we create specific environments for exploration or data engineer, which are locked. Yeah.
So like an R&D environment.
Kind of. Yeah. So they can have their fun.
And what type of tools do you provide in that type of environment?
It's a self-serve, so they plug it with whatever they want. Yeah. Yeah. We just make sure that it's secure and only the right data is accessed. Yeah.
Can you discuss your schema and DDL promotions as you go through? I imagine you're branching to kind of test those. What does that look like for life cycle?
Yeah. So it's not all automated. So the DDLs are in Git, and the DBAs are matching based on the requirements of the project. So it's pretty standard evolution of the data warehouse. There's no magic right now. We are integrating DB Maestro, but we're still too early to give you like a integrated answer of how we are using it. Yeah. Sure.
Regarding testing, so since you're kind of refreshing your data,
Yeah.
right? So how do you validate, your matches? Because in application development, right, they'll give you a scenario saying this input was, put into this function, you should get that output.
Mm-hmm.
But since you're refreshing your data, you don't really know what's in there. But then you do have to build something. I mean, what's the kind of the process to validate to make sure that whatever ETL code you're writing is correct?
Well, you mean regression testing?
Or unit testing.
Well, unit testing is done at the data stage level, so the small transformations are done. We're using more like higher level, like functional or almost end-to-end testing. We did part of the testing lifecycle using how would you say?
You get a story that says, this table needs to have this data, and there's some type of formula? Or
How we match the data for the project?
how you kind of match, whatever your requirements you have, since you have refresh data? I mean, I guess in some scenarios, if a BA or someone gives you test data,
Yeah.
then, it can be like...
Well, in our case, the BA is generating synthetic data, so they're creating data to match the test cases, and this synthetic data is living inside the pod, and then it gets refreshed whenever or recycled at the end of the project.
So they would create the data?
They will create it, and obviously the end goal would be to version it. So then when we destroy the pods, we can reuse it in a different context, build a library of automated tests.
Kind of regression.
Yeah, exactly. So this is where we are working right now.
Okay.
Yeah,
I should find out next time.
exactly.
Okay.
Another question, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's good.
So our code base is about 90% data stage
Yeah.
for ETL.
Yeah.
Are you guys looking to maybe
Yeah, for sure, for sure. There's no final decision right now, but we're obviously, 10 years of development, that's a lot of ATL that you cannot shift in a day. But yeah, obviously we want to migrate to a new, simpler approach to more DevOps. Absolutely, yeah. All right, one last question maybe?
I have one last question.
Yeah, sure.
So basically in the development, the customer feels bringing the new functionality to the application is quicker than really creating a report, right? How do you, in your experience, how do you bridge the gap? The data what application writes, what ETL you extract, it's totally might be different way. So how do you minimize that effort so that it will be quicker to deliver to customers?
It's all bring down to how we, I would say at the architectural level, at the designer level, we split the different portion of normalization of the data. So smaller ETL transformation that we need to do and push it progressively. I don't know if I'm answering your question. It's at the design, more at the design level. So less big transformation, smaller blocks that can be deployed independently. All right, thank you very much, guys.